Thank you for joining me on the journey. This is Completed Christianity. So welcome back. Another episode of Being Complete. And today is first day, sun worship. And we continue on with what we dealt with last time on sun worship, where we talked about water and how that's connected to false worship, apostate worship. And so let's jump over here. We talked about water. We talked about the bitter water and the living water. Of course, Messiah gives us the living water through what is true worship, and then the apostate worship connects to the bitter water. And the bitter water, or the sea water, the salty water, that water which you cannot satisfy your thirst. Okay? You got this thirst for righteousness built inside of you. You got this thirst for the things that are right. You got this thirst for the things that are the things of Yah. And so you have this thirst, and this is quenched by the living water. But the apostate worship gives you the bitter water. So we talked about that last time. If you didn't see that, go watch this. Go watch that first. And so with this, I'm going to continue on in how that this world system that is set up, okay, that's set up, that's the beast system, that's controlled by the beast, which the beast is, again, not the Antichrist, as it's called. He's not the Anti-Messiah. The Anti-Messiah just controls the beast. Okay, leads the beast. Okay, the Anti-Messiah is part of the woman that rides the beast. The woman that rides the beast controls the beast. The rider controls the beast. Okay, the Anti-Messiah, he leads. He's part of the leadership of what is the woman. And so, in this, they put the emphasis on the woman in the Catholic Church. But the true worship puts the emphasis on the Messiah. So true worship, Messiah; apostate worship, the woman. Okay, the emphasis goes to Mary, which we dealt with that name in the last video. And so, in all this, okay, we have this water. Water is what is behind the kingdom of the Father and behind the kingdom of darkness. Okay? Living water is the Father's kingdom. Bitter water is the enemy's kingdom. And so, in sun worship, the sun gods are connected to water because the sun brings the water. Okay? And then occultically and in the sun worship, ancient sun worship, you have where there's above and below. As above, so below, as it's been called in our modern time. Okay? So there's above water, there's below water. Okay, the below water, and when you talk about the sun gods, this is the quote representation of the underworld. And so the enemy has this idea of the underworld, that he wants to bring us from light to dark, true light to dark. But in doing so, he wants to bring us from perceived obvious dark to perceived light, which is false light. And so the whole water worship, and like what we talked about in the last time, about everything pointing to water and to in Dagon, this idea of this sun worship, this is the antithesis, if you will. It's sun god worship, but it's brought to the underworld, to the below. It's an occultic understanding. And that's what we're going to look at. That's what we're going to talk about here. So let's jump over here to our browser. Take a look. So over here, this particular paper by Helena Blavatsky from the 1800s, and so she talks about theosophy, which theo means like God or deity. Sophie or Sophia is wisdom. So it's theosophy is supposed to be the wisdom of Yah, the wisdom of a deity, but it's occultic. It's occult practices. And Helena Blavatsky, she was like the top occultist in the world at the time. And so down here, she gives this quote about the order of the Catholic Church that runs the Counter-Reformation. And so she said, so there's this priestly order that's the largest order in the Catholic Church, and they run the Counter-Reformation, have since the 1500s. Says one would think esoteric philosophy and especially occult arts or magic were abominations to these good holy fathers, quote, good holy fathers. And so, indeed, they would have the world believe. But when one studies history and the works of their own authors published with the imprimatur of the order, what does one find? It finds that they have practiced not only occultism, but black magic in its worst form more than any other body of men, and that to it they owe, that to the black magic they owe in large measure their power and influence. Okay, these people have power and influence throughout the world. All the politicians are connected to them. The politicians don't get where they are except for them. And they control everything else too, and the media and those who run the media, and the movies and entertainment and those who run the movies and entertainment. And so they have this occult background. Okay, that is the point. They have this occult background. And so there's in our world our laws, our common laws that are what we know as reality. These common laws, they are the law of the land. But there's also a law of the water. And this law of the water is Maritime Admiralty law. And Maritime Admiralty law in its core is international law. And so today we have international criminal courts and talk about global governance and everything coming together as one through this international law. Well, Maritime Admiralty law is international law. And so there's a law of the land and a law of water. But the law of the land is the reality on the land, but the law of the water on the land is occultic and esoteric. Okay, this is occult power that goes on behind the scenes. And so I uploaded a transcript here on ChatGPT of a document talking about all of this stuff. And so from this transcript, it says that the transcript claims that the Emergency Banking Relief Act of 1933 amended the Trading with the Enemy Act by extending its jurisdiction from only external transactions or international waters to include domestic or inland transactions. This effectively brought the territorial sea concept inland applying the same Admiralty maritime law principles to all U.S. territory. This shift implied that commercial and financial activities, even in the U.S., fell under special maritime jurisdiction influenced by wartime regulations. So I asked, would you say this was true? And it says, no, the claim in the transcript is not historically accurate. This is true. This is the reality, the law of reality versus the law of the occult. And so they work by this law of the occult. And to gain this black magic, occult power, prestige, significance, and so that behind the scenes they create these laws that, as anybody knows, a law is based on its interpretation. And so in one aspect, a law can be interpreted one way. In another aspect, it can be interpreted an opposite way. And they write these laws like this for this purpose so that basically it can say whatever fits their narrative. That's why you never want to go to a court for any reason, because when you go to court, you're in their ballpark, their realm. You're a fish out of water at that point, pun intended. And so a court, it's a game, and it's been referenced like that as a game, and like that, all of these words that surround law and banking and personage, people and citizenship, that it's all occultically connected to this Maritime Admiralty law, because on the sea you have a ship, but on land, what moves on the sea is ships, and what moves on the land is land-based things, land-based animals and people. And so as a citizen, you have a citizenship. So this citizen is a citizenship. It's a ship. Just like a ship is birthed, a citizen is birthed. When the ship is birthed, okay, it's birthed at the dock, and you have to file your paperwork with the dock. Well, when your baby is born, your baby is born with the dock, and you have to file your paperwork with the dock so you can get a birth certificate. And this birth certificate means that you've manifested this child, just like with a ship. It has a manifest of the things that were on it. The ship wasn't here, now it is. Now there's a manifest. All these goods and services are manifested, and this child that you have, it's a goods and services that will be it'll be built up over time. The ship will be built to the point where eventually it's able for commerce. And this is all occult language that ties all this stuff together. Is it reality in the real world? Not per se, but it is, because it's occult. It's behind the scenes. It's hidden. It's how they want to have authority and jurisdiction over all the land and all the people. And so this Emergency Banking Relief Act, let's take a look at this over here. So these three things here. So there's Proclamation 2039, which is FDR's inauguration speech. And it says that the transcript that I uploaded, it cites that FDR's inaugural address on March 4, 1933, implying that his emergency measures involved a common law dedication of private property to public use. The amendment of the Trading with the Enemy Act, so the Trading with the Enemy Act, we'll talk about that here in a minute, but it was from 1917. It was World War I time. It was It was to prevent trading with the enemy, trading with enemy combatants. And so the amendment to the Trading with the Enemy Act, the transcript claims that the Emergency Banking Relief Act of March 9, 1933, amended the Trading with the Enemy Act to extend its jurisdiction from international to domestic or inland territory. Okay, and again, this is all occult talk, occult speech. It's all in the books, and it's all an interpretation that they can one day flip back to this interpretation, or flip to this interpretation, when their narrative fits it. So Title 18, U.S. Code 7, Special Maritime Jurisdiction, transcript points to Title 18, which includes special maritime and territorial jurisdiction, arguing this is proof of maritime law applying inland. Okay, so in FDR's speech, okay, he says this. So FDR spoke about severe economic crisis, calling for unity and sacrifice. He stated, "We are ready and willing to submit our lives and property to such discipline." Okay, as a call for collective effort, likening the nation's struggle to wartime readiness, he emphasized emergency powers and pledged leadership akin to wartime command, but did not legally dedicate property to or change jurisdictional laws. So that's the reality of what it is. But an occult, when you go to an occult interpretation, then it flips. Okay, and so these people are obsessed with this bitter water, okay? And so they want to, rather than have a law of the land, they want a law of water, okay? This is the law of water, gives them this occult black magic power, okay? So FDR says, "We are ready and willing to submit our lives and property to such discipline." So on this dedication, okay, as we're going to look at here in a second, see, okay, the transcript defines dedication using Black's Law Dictionary. Okay, this dedication that he made, it says dedication is the appropriate of land or easement therein by the owner for public use, and it is accepted for such as use on behalf of the public, as either explicit express dedication or implied by the owner's conduct and circumstances in this case. And so this dedication that he makes over here of our lives and property, then in an occult interpretation of these things, then our lives and our property belong to the government. Okay, that's what all this points to. Our lives and our property belong to the government, and like the government with its if it's a national debt that's ballooned into numbers that people don't even understand, that national debt is secured by the full faith and credit of the American people. It's the people, okay? It's banking, commerce, people. People are connected to the banking and commerce. So it's the people that owe the money, the people that are the guarantee for the money, for the debt. And so the Law Dictionary, Black's Law Dictionary, says that dedication is an appropriation of land. So the land, all of our lands that supposedly we own, that in this occult interpretation, that it can be, deemed that it all belongs to the government. It all belongs to those who run and control the government, which is the Catholic Church, which is the Counter-Reformation. All right, So, same thing. So over here, Title 18, Crimes and Criminal Procedure. So Title 18, USC 7. Okay, right here. Special Maritime and Territorial Jurisdiction of the United States. Defined. The term Special Maritime and Territorial Jurisdiction of the United States is used in this title includes the high seas, any other waters within Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States, and out of the jurisdiction of a particular state, and any vessel belonging in whole or in part to the United States, or any citizen thereof, or to any corporation created under the laws of the United States, or any territory, any state, territory, district, okay, or possession thereof, when such vessel is within the Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States and out of the jurisdiction of any particular state. Okay, so it says here that under special maritime territorial jurisdiction, that it's the high seas and any other waters within the Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. Okay, and it says that it's any they have jurisdiction over any vessel belonging whole or in part to the United States or any citizen thereof. So the reality reading of it is that it's a vessel that belongs to the United States, or a vessel that belongs to any citizen thereof, or a vessel that belongs to any U.S. corporation. Okay, so an occult reading of this, an interpretation, it's any vessel belonging whole or in part to the United States, or any citizen thereof. So, as separate things. So it's a vessel that belongs to the United States, or a citizen that belongs to the United States. So the occult reading is that the citizen of the United States is under this Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. That's the occult reading. So if we flash on down here and look at subsection 9, vessel of the United States. Define the term vessel of the United States as using this title means a vessel belonging whole or in part to the United States, or any citizen thereof, or any corporation created by or under the laws of the United States. So, same thing. This vessel, each and every one of us, in the occult reading and occult understanding, each and every one of us is a vessel on the high seas for commerce. And so, when we come on down here under subsection 13, okay, it says, whoever within or upon any of the places now existing or hereafter reserved or required as provided in section 7 of this title. So we read that, section 7 of this title, that the occult reading, any citizen of the United States is under this special maritime jurisdiction. And so by this occult reading, occult interpretation, that they brought the territorial sea inland where it applies to each and every one of us, and that we are vessels of this maritime jurisdiction. And so these things are the occult readings of this, and that they have basically created us in this occult water world. And it all has to do with the bitter water, the seas, that the sea is brought inland. And some have claimed, and there's no good documentation for this, but some have claimed that they've even gone around the country and established depth markers. And so where you live is under so much water. And so this water is in the underworld. Okay. So they want to create this underworld, this water world, occultically, that we all live in and that we're subject to. And so this is a part and parcel all to the international law that they all want to put us under, this international law, this international criminal court and such like that, that they want to have for the entire U.S. and the entire world. These things they set in motion so that they can have this, they can lean on this occult bitter water, and that they can have jurisdiction over us and over the people, over our lands, and that in doing so, they grab this black magic occult energy power and they lord it over us for the day that they want to seize complete and total control. Psalm 89:34, my covenant I will not break, nor alter the word that has gone out of my lips. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, comment down below. Comments of opposition are welcome. Just don't say anything dumb like we're not under the law. We're under grace because you've been taught to use that verse outside of the bounds of its intended context. Subscribe now. Smash that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you get notifications of all future videos.